At this point in life, we know the universally undefeateds are as follows. Sex, undefeated, untied, unbeaten in the history of the world. Father Time, unbeaten. March Madness, unbeaten. Diarrhea, too. Can't forget that, but the Rhea too. Yeah, you know how I know? It kicked my ass this week. Got a little bit of the bug. Anyway, what I'm getting at is there is nothing better. The bracket dopamine is real. We're all swimming in it right now. Unless, of course, you had Arizona going all the way, and I know a lot of you did. Then your bracket dopamine just turned into bracket battery acid. But hey, that'll happen. Happens to us all. And it's not the first time it's happened either. And not to pile on, but
happens to us all.
Arizona, when I say it's not the first time, they had lost to a 15 seed in the first round once before. And not to be this guy, but I actually called it. I did. Not this time, but the last time. As a talk show host on the rise, Roy Firestone used to put me on his Up Close show on ESPN in the early 90s. Tommy, that is true. And this is when he would put me on as a panelist. We did a tournament preview segment on one of his shows back in 1993. I called that upset. When Arizona was a 2, I called that. And back then, 2s did not lose to 15s, but Arizona did. That's how long I've been doing this, and that's how smart I am, and how smart I was back then. Well, it goes to show history does repeat itself as the geniuses from Princeton, channeling their inner 1996, shocked the Wildcats, a legitimate national title contender, because I know a lot of you had them going all the way. Incredible. Somehow, the Princeton Tigers and head coach Mitch Henderson are, in fact, still dancing. The same Mitch Henderson who led that epic upset of the defending champs UCLA back in 96. And that was a shocker, but again, that was only a 13-4. This was from the 15 line. And that's got to make it all the more heartbreaking and devastating for Arizona fan. I mean, I hate to say it, but what a disaster for the Wildcats.
That's devastating.
A team that many thought could win it all somehow failed to score for the final 4 minutes and 45 seconds of this game against the Ivy Leaguers. And you're not going to win many games in the tournament like that, or any games ever. Meantime, Zona's meltdown didn't feel nearly as brutal as the way UVA crashed out, because unlike Arizona, Virginia had their game in hand against Furman. They led by 4 with 19 seconds left. They had possession and a 2-point lead when the most unthinkable and incredible thing happened. I mean, incredible. Inject that bleep right into my veins. That right there is one of the most beautiful plays I've ever seen. That was so badass. That was so clean. That was damn near symphonic. Now, I do feel for Kihei Clark, even if I've got absolutely no idea what he was thinking. The fifth-year senior got trapped in the corner, and he just threw it up. After the game, Furman's Jalen Slauson, their star, had a great reaction. In fact, he had that reaction.
He just freaking threw the ball.
Quote, he just freaking threw the ball.
He just freaking threw the ball.
Such an amazing quote. He said that in the tunnel. He did just freaking throw the ball.
He just freaking threw the ball.
And it was an all-time mistake. But the Paladins still had to step up and knock down the most clutch shot in program history. They still had to take advantage. They still had to execute. And holy crap, did they ever take advantage and execute. That was surgical. That was Paladin perfection. A Paladin, by the way, is a knight, if you're wondering. That's your answer for the water cooler today. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Credit to Clark, though. My man sat in his locker, and he took full responsibility, full accountability. Incredible that he might have made the most important pass in UVA hoops history in the Elite Eight against Purdue in 2019, but also the opposite of the most important pass in UVA history when he just freaking threw the ball.
He just freaking threw the ball.
So that's how Furman grabbed their first tourney win since 1974. And frankly, it couldn't have been any more epic. Like, the end of that was just so perfect. I keep watching it. Penn State, meanwhile, also broke a 2+ decade tourney drought in pretty epic fashion, not because of a crazy finish, but because of some crazy sharp shooting. I don't think dude even grazed the rim. Trey's 0 rim. It was like, splash, splash, splash.
Smash, smash. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just hyped Penn State hoops. And no, I'm not going to lie. The big head James Kelly was on Penn State. And I told him I like him. I respect him. But there's no way in hell I go against my dude, Buzz Williams. Sometimes it's just personal. Sometimes I make it personal. And I love Buzz. Always have, always will. But this time, it came back to bite me in the ass. The tourney be like that. The tourney be like that. That's the beauty of the chaos, though, yo. It's random. It's surprising. It's madness. Then again, some things at the tournament are a little more predictable. Like Muss-coached teams showing up ready to ball. And yes, Arkansas fan, I know you've been up and down this year. I know that you haven't really known night to night what you're going to get from that team. You know, well, you got what you needed last night. The Muss bus rolling on. And I'll get to a lot of that, or a lot more of that, when the man himself comes up at the start of hour number 2. Then you got Bama. The Bama dominance also on display. The Bama dominance also predictable. And the Bama dominance, frankly, pretty nauseating. Like, while I was down, I was throwing up in my mouth. While I was watching them, I was throwing up in my mouth. But there's no getting around it. They're awfully good on the floor, right?